Okay, we're continuing with this book here, The Best of the West in Art, Movies, Music, and Books by me, Pete Rogers. We're on Chapter 4. We're on page 137. Number 4, best. So Chapter 4 means the things that are fourth best out of Western culture. The fourth best series of paintings on canvas. And this would be the paintings about Matthew, the author of the Gospel according to Matthew. And here he is being called by Christ. He was a tax collector. And he points to Matthew and he says, "Come with me." Okay, so that's part 1 by Caravaggio. And here's part 2 by Caravaggio. And this is, the inspiration of Matthew to write the Gospel according to Matthew. Here he is inspired by an angel to write the Gospel. Okay. The inspiration of Matthew, it's in the Contarelli Chapel in Rome. All right, and then here is the third, part 3 by Caravaggio, the martyrdom of St. Matthew. And what's extraordinary about this is if you look at the disciples, about 10 out of the 12 were martyred, which is part of the reason why there's increased faith in the early stories of early Christianity. Because the disciples would not have allowed themselves to be martyred if they didn't believe that Jesus was God. Okay, that's a pretty big statement, being willing to go to martyrdom, okay? Chris Coulson, one of the guys at Watergate, he said that there's no way all these guys would have gone to martyrdom unless they believed that Jesus was God. Everybody in Watergate folded relatively fast, Gordon Liddy stuck out for a while. Okay, number 4th best water landscape painting, Sunday Afternoon at the Grand Lejade by Seurat. Okay, and I recently just, I'm in the process of, if you look at my morning videos, I just released something real quick before I have to go to work. I got a series of water landscape paintings. But anyways, this is a beautiful old painting. People are calm and relaxed, well-behaved, like you can do in a first world country. But in a third world country, people are too poorly behaved. You can't just enjoy yourself in public. Okay, next painting, the 4th best summer harvest landscape, just July morning, beautiful painting with a beautiful lady going through her garden and stuff, and actually my old ex-wife was really magnificent at gardens, and that could almost be like my old ex-wife. Maybe that's why I subliminally was reminded of it. She had a beautiful garden. She had a sense for colors and stuff like that. But anyways, it's just beautiful. And that's another thing about Christian artists. They see something beautiful and they just put it into a painting. There's thousands of paintings of just day-to-day life, beautiful scenes like this, families, homes, gardens, all this stuff. It's beautiful. And that's what Christianity does. Other cultures don't do this. They don't care about art. And if you're atheist, most cultures are atheist, which is almost like an oxymoron to say culture and atheism. If you think life is meaningless, why bother with art? Okay? That's why they don't make it. And some people say, "Oh, I shouldn't say Christian art is so superior to other arts." It is. It is. There's no debate about it. Whenever I say, "Please show me some art," put it in the comments, they never have anything significant to say. They'll give me one thing here or there. There was like one nice building in some other country or something, but it's like next to nothing. And it's really nothing really compared to a cathedral anyways. Okay, number 4 best landscape painting, Morning in the Forest by Shishkin, the Russian artist. And so what I'm basically showing here is there's a lot of great paintings by the Russians in the 1800s. So before World War I, before the Bolshevik Revolution to destroy Russia, Russians had a lot of good writers and good painters. So there's nothing wrong with the Russian people except, the collectivism, okay? Back when they were Christian, they did a lot of beautiful things. Okay, that's my point. Christianity makes any culture do beautiful, any group of people do beautiful things. They just need Christianity. Okay, here's a winter landscape. This one, Holy Cross Mountain. You can see the cross up there, the water coming down, by Thomas Moran from 1890. Okay, now it kind of gets a little bit like a list. So I'm just going to show you some of the highlights. Frank Lloyd Wright is an architect. One of the things I liked about him was the idea that if you want to do something special and unique and interesting, he says, try to combine ideas from faraway places. Like he would combine some ideas he got from the Greek architecture, like the Parthenon, for example, classical architecture, the Romans as well, with ideas from Japanese tea gardens and stuff. And that's some of the uniqueness of the appearance of some of his buildings, which are rather beautiful. My mom was a tour guide at one of those buildings. Frank Lloyd Wright, individuality is sacred. And that's a big thing coming out of the West. Because in the West, people say individuality is sacred because the West celebrates the individual, versus the East tends to be atheist. And it celebrates collectivism because the ruler says you must conform to what I say. And that's also why they have very little creativity in comparison to the West. Okay, it's just a fact. Okay. You know, a good example is comedy. Okay, name a good Eastern comic. It's like, good luck finding one. You know, the only decent comic that came out of the Soviet area was that one guy who always makes fun of Soviet. I forget his name. Yakov Smirnov. The party is always right. Okay, let's see. What number 4 best action movie? Rocky. All the Rocky movies are great. Sylvester Stallone was awesome. I used to love those. When we first saw the first Rocky movie, we loved it. We saw it, 20 times. Okay, soft rock, number 4 best, Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash got a lot of great stuff. Okay, 4th best weightlifting song, Keep Pushing, REO Speedwagon. Pressure is On, Hank Williams, all the wrestlers. We listen to all the Hank Williams Jr. stuff. Rising to the Moon, number 4th best Irish song, great stuff. Let's see here. So I'm basically giving people a chance to learn about all this stuff and get introduced to it. Because I know young people, you talk to young people and they're a bunch of airheads, ignoramuses, they don't know anything. So here it is. If you want to learn your culture, if you want to be a sophisticated, cultured, educated person with an aesthetic sense, here it is for free. Okay, just watch all my videos on the subject. I'll show it all to you. I want you to learn. I want you to have this opportunity to learn free. Don't go through life being a Philistine dumbass. Okay, let's see. Brothers Karamazov, magnificent novel. At some time in your life, you should listen to that, the audio version, or read it. It takes a lot of time to read it, but the audio version is great too. Or watch the movie. And the lesson to be learned is the best way to be is like Alyosha. Dostoevsky had a son who died, and his name was Alyosha. And then he made Alyosha the character in the book Brothers Karamazov. And the 4 brothers sort of represent the personalities of men in Russia and anywhere in the world. Okay, Michael Crichton was a great writer. He's a graduate of Harvard Medical School, and he was sort of a brilliant mind. He mostly writes suspense thrillers, though, which isn't really my favorite type of book, but the way he does them is magnificent, just the way he keeps ratcheting up the suspense. Okay, one of the all-time great comedy movies was Trading Places. Eddie Murphy was a fantastic comedic actor. Trading Places is an all-time classic. And again, that was the type of movie we loved back in America, back in the 1980s, when America was a unified, happy, rich country. So anyways, that's it for today. Next time we'll do chapter 5. I hope you found that helpful.